Infographics are a great way of just turning bland spreadsheet information into visual masterpieces that can help you weave a narrative and tell a story. They may seem kind of complicated, but actually they're quite simple when you put them together. Let's have a look. Okay, so there's two areas to our chart. There's the percentage that relates to the customer rating, and then there's the percentage that relates to the full rating, so the 100%. So let's select our data, which is cell A4 to B5, and then let's just go up into insert, across here to the right, just where we've got our charts here and our bar charts, select down, and then we just want this 2D cluster chart here. So let's just delete our chart title because we don't need that. And the first thing we're going to do is we just need to swap the axis here between the X and the Y. So if I right mouse click and then select data, and then I just want to switch my rows and my columns here. So do that and then just hit OK to that. What that's done is just basically put both the bar charts, so the 100% and the 55%, both beside each other. So now you can see the bars side by side, but we need them overlapping, just like in our example here on the screen. So what we need to do is just to double click on any of the bars, and on the Format Data Point menu on the right hand side, just select Overlap to 100%. Now that's put our full 100% to the top of both bar charts. So when I select one of the bar charts, I can just select Data, and just here where I've got my two arrows, I just want to change the order of these. So if I just select down arrow and then OK, and you can see there that my blue bar chart, which is my customer satisfaction of 55%, now has come up to the top. Next, we'll need to change the format of this bottom axis. It goes all the way to 120%, but we only need it to go up to 100%. So what we're going to do is just double click on our bottom axis, then go across to right where it says Format Axis Menu. So on the minimum, we just need to change that to 0. And on the maximum, we just need to change that to 1 and hit return. And you can see that both arrows here turn a different color. They turn a black color just to indicate that that's locked in. Then if we go back to our axis here, we don't need this anymore. So just select that and delete that. And then we don't need our grid lines either. So let's delete those. And let's just delete this axis on the left hand side as well. And then finally, what we're going to do is just select again our bar chart here, and what we're going to do is the gap width between the bars, we're just going to put that down to 0 so we can make this just a bigger chart overall. So let's just resize this graph a little bit, make it a little bit longer. Yeah, that looks good. And let's just take away this outline. So if I go up to format shape outline, and then just no outline to that, and that takes our outline again away. So if you have a look at the shape of this chart, and if you have a look at the final shape, you can see that the corners in the final shape are a little rounded. So that just makes it look a little bit cooler, a little bit more professional. So there's a really neat trick that you can do just to get that effect. So if I go to the top of my ribbon and go Insert and then Shapes, and then I'm just going to choose this rounded rectangle, and we just want to draw that in about the same size as our blue rectangle there. Now I just want to actually take the shape outline of that, so no outline, and I just want to change the color of that as well to a green, maybe a dark green. That looks good. So if I select my shape and then Control and copy, and just select my first blue rectangle here and Control and V, and you can see that pastes in the shape over the shape of the chart. So that looks really cool. So again, if I change the color of this shape again, so I'm going to do that to a light gray, and again I can copy that in on top of this orange section of the graph, Control and V, and you can see then that's made the whole graph with the rounded edges, which just makes it look a little bit cooler and a little bit more professional. So if I delete that rectangle. So now our chart is really starting to look the part, and what we need to do is we need to add some data labels for the customer rating and for the percentage. So if I select my green section here and then right mouse click and just select add data labels, you can see it just adds them to the end of the chart. So if I select the data label, format data labels, so instead of the end here, what we want to do is reposition this over. So across to the right hand side, just under the format data labels menu, I'm just going to select inside base. Then I'm just going to change the size of this up to about 20 to make it nice and big. I'm going to bold it, and I'm going to change the font to a Daytona. So that looks really good. And then I'm just going to change the color of that then to this kind of light gray color as well. Yeah, that looks good. Now, if we have a look back to our complete infographic again, it has a symbol at the end. So to add this, we need to go into insert and then icons. So insert on the ribbon and then icons. This brings up all the stock images and icons you can use. So it's great for adding a professional touch to reports and dashboards. If you'd like to see a video of how to create a fully interactive and visually stunning dashboard, I'll link a video in the description. So I'm just going to type in customer into this search box here, and it just gives us options then of different icons we can use within our graph. So I'm just going to select this one with the people and the comments up above and insert that. Then I'm just going to move this underneath here. So I'm just going to resize this and also just change it to that light gray color as well. Now if I place this on my graph just over here, and then if I actually change the percentage, so if I change that, let's say to 35, you can see then I lose that image. It doesn't actually move with the end of the gray bar. So I can Control and Z to do that. So to achieve this effect, we're going to have to add a new series of data by adding another graph. And that way, this icon will always be dynamic. So I'm going to add another data set here in cells C4 and C5. So in cell C4, I'm just going to add a header. I'm going to call that icon. And then in C5, I'm just going to link that actually to my customer satisfaction score, like so. Then what I'm going to do is just take this icon out of here for the moment, and I'm going to right click on my green section of the graph, and then I'm going to select data. Now I want to add in a new series, so to do that I'm just going to select this plus button just here. The name of my new series, I'm going to link that to the header I have across here, so just the icon, and then my Y values for that series, I'm just going to add that and I'll link that into my 55% under my icon, and then just hit OK. Now what that's done is effectively the new series now has overlaid the existing graph. So if I just select this darker gray section here, you can see that it selects the icon and the 55%. So what we need to do is we need to change this chart type to a scatter plot. And that will effectively then change the icon to just to a dot over here on the right. So if I right mouse click and then I want to change my chart type and then change that to a scatter, and if I just go down and just use a scatter plot there, and you can see it's just popped my icon series, you can see it here, over to the right. So if I select my data series, I just need to change a couple of things around the X and the Y axis. So if I right mouse click and then select data, and then what I need to do is in my legend entries here, I just need to select my icon series. Now what you can see has changed is there's a new X values series that's been added because it's a scatter plot. So what I need to do then is, if you think that the X axis is effectively the bottom here, so it runs horizontally. So my x-axis is actually going to be linked to this 55% here. So it's going to move with that range. So when I add or change that range, I want my x-axis or my plot on my x-axis to change. So what I'm going to do is just link that x-axis up to my icon percentage there. And for my y-axis, which moves vertically up and down, I effectively want that to be 0.5. Because this axis goes from 0 to 100%, I want to make sure that this icon remains in the middle. So if I hit OK to that, you can see then my scatterplot dot then has just moved directly into the middle of this green bar chart here, and it's just at the end of the bar chart as well. So final few things is I'm just going to delete this axis here, and then I'm just going to copy this icon here, and same tip as before, I can actually just Control and V, and that will replace the scatterplot dot. But what you can see here is that the icon is actually in the middle of the green, between the green and the grey. So I want it more to the left here on the side. So to achieve that, all I need to do is just go up to here where I have my icon percentage, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to -6%, and that'll move that a little bit over to the left. And there you can see we should have then a finalized dynamic infograph that actually the icon here will always be dynamically moving. So if I move that to 95, yeah, that works great. I hope you found that video useful. If you did, please like and subscribe. And here are 2 other videos you might find useful as well. Bye.